the most magnificent sights on planet Earth, in my view. I've been here 3 times now. It's called Machu Picchu, which means apparently old peak. We're 8,000 feet above sea level up in the Andes, this mountain range that basically goes right down the west coast of South America. And down there, 1,500 feet below us, is the Urubamba River, which under its old name, its real name, Wicamayu, is Inca for sacred river, holy river. It's funny, when I first came here in 1991 to Peru, my life changed. I won't go into that now because I'm going to go in a few days to the place where my life changed, and I'll be producing a film next weekend from there explaining all that. But basically, amazing things started to happen for me in 1990. And towards the end of 1990, I came across this psychic lady. She said, have you ever thought of going to Peru? And I thought, I haven't actually, no. But from that moment, it was, Peru was coming into my life everywhere. I was seeing Peru. And eventually I went there. But one of the things she said to me is, you will be drinking of the holy waters soon. I thought, I'm not religious, so I'm not sure that's true. And then when I first came to Machu Picchu, you get a bus from the train right up here, you know, hold on. And I didn't catch the bus immediately. I went down the river a bit, and I just started drinking the water. I don't know why. I thought, yeah, drinking the water. And I didn't know anything about the river. And then a little while later, a guide told me that this is known as the sacred river, or the holy river, sacred waters, holy waters, which is kind of a interesting story, what is to me anyway. But the real amazing experience that you have here is not just the view, which is extraordinary, but it's the energy. Because we have this idea, it comes from academia, they know it all of course, that ancient people, or people from what we call the past, were like primitive and all the rest of it, because human evolution or awareness can only go forward. I mean, Darwin said, and he can never be wrong. But actually it goes up and down depending on the circumstances. And way back, I mean, the Inca apparently built this amazing city in like the 15th, 16th century before the Spanish moved in. But this site, as a site that was focused on as special, goes way back, probably into prehistory, almost certainly so, because it's a point where lots of energy lines, ley lines, meridian lines, dragon lines, force lines, whatever you want to call them, meet. And if you can access and interact with these massive vortex points where all these lines cross and whip up this massive vortex, then you can access and tap into that power. And so they used to build their cities, because they're you know, saying every Inca person knew all this, no, but the initiates did. And so they located places on the basis of this energy grid, and therefore the vortex points, which has this power which they can tap into if you know what you're doing. Because, you know, on one level, you know, the body, the auric field, whatever you want to call it, is an electromagnetic field. And these vortex points and these energy lines are electromagnetic energy, and at that level you can interact with them and you can absorb their power, absorb their knowledge, absorb their information. And the Spanish, who overran Peru and brought us the Roman Catholic Church, thanks chaps, nice one, and basically imposed it upon the culture, they never apparently found this place. I'm not surprised, but apparently they didn't. And therefore a lot of the destruction that went on in other places, because it's interesting that when the colonialists went in, like the British above all, and the Spanish and all the others, when they went into these places, again, they had initiates that had the knowledge that I'm talking about, and they were working with it, as they still are today, the Satanists and the Illuminati and the secret societies, in a very negative way. And So they knew about the power centers, and they knew about the way they could be used to give power to those who understood what they were doing. And so when they went into these countries to take them over, they targeted these power centers and the rituals that went on and the architecture created for those rituals at those points, and they destroyed it as best they could, because they wanted not just to get the people to think because they destroyed it, it was all gone, but actually to disturb that power center so it couldn't be used anymore. After this was abandoned in the 16th century, they say. Okay, but this is all, you know, when I say these things, this is all official history. It's not necessarily true. But when they abandoned it, it is said in the 16th century, it basically lay and was overgrown until officially a guy called Hiram Bingham, American. They were usually British explorers that went out and destroyed these places, but he turns up in 1911 and discovered it. But he discovered it with a bit of help, because the locals showed him where it was, you know. And then he claimed credit for it and all the rest of it, and they took artifacts away to America, just like the British took. I mean, whole museums in Britain of artifacts from other people's lands. And anyway, once it became known again, it went into a state of continual restoration, which is where we see it now. And it's just an amazing place. And when you go around it and have it explained by a guide that's going around with us, a Peruvian guide called Malku, it's fascinating to see that these so-called primitive people, at least at the level of the initiates, were not bloody primitive at all. In fact, they were aware of a level of physics relating to what we call, they may have called it something different or whatever, a spirit or whatever, but on the basis of this electromagnetic interaction that is possible between apparently inanimate objects and energy lines and vortex points in the human energy field, it's fascinating to see that they understood all that, and they understood it then more than mainstream science does now, which thinks, oh, it's old mumbo jumbo. Well, it's not. It's high physics. Anyway, as we've been going round this amazing site, Marco's been, giving us some explanations, and at one point he talked about the energy significance of this extraordinary place. So, Marco, let's see what he had to say.
So Machu Picchu represents a big lesson. I named the city Crystal City because the type of material. In the type of stones, quality of rocks we have here, the majority is granite. Aside with granite, we have mica, feldspar, diorite, and also quartz. So, because the type of material is so strong, I named the city the Crystal City. And right now, it starts to be recognized as the Crystal City. But there is a reason. It's not because I had a dream, it's because there is a symphony. When you are in tune, the city vibrates and touches you. How many are dreaming with Machu Picchu? How many are centered, they feel connected, and probably some of you were part of the co-creators. And there is a recognition, only that.
The stone circles and the standing stones in Britain use crystalline rock. And of course the knowledge has been hijacked by the few into some very sinister secret societies. And one of its expressions is the Mormon church. And the Mormon temple in Salt Lake City is made of granite. So you can see the same knowledge being used and the same connection to energies being used in a positive and negative way all over the world, right through history to the present day.
When anybody is gaining power, if they stay in a radical power, will be just a radical power. Look at that, the power of the politicians. Look at that, the power of religions. And many other business people, which is a radical power, and many people, they don't like this power, and they don't follow, or they hate. But if these people will unite with the essence of the power, life will be much beautiful, and the essence of this power is represented by the hummingbird. So the invitation is, whenever you are manifesting more power in life, you can never forget of the essence of power, which is beauty. When you have beauty preserved with power, you can advance much more. Can you imagine these powerful people, if they will introduce beauty into their lives, that will change the planet. But this is the radical part of these people. The invitation is, do not run away of power. Because wisdom is manifesting power, wanting or not, is our nature. This is the result of power, but beauty in the same time. Here we are in the extension of the head of the bird, which is inviting us to transcend. So many people stay just in one single power. And you are right, many use it, certain elements of power as granite. And this happens also a lot in New York and many other places, because granite, look at the biggest obelisk in the world, Washington, is granite. Mm-hmm. And like that, you go to Egypt, many of the obelisks, granite. Here is the city with granite and quartz, is the Crystal City.
They're kind of hijacking the communication network. That's what they've been trying to do. And this is why when they went out from Europe in the colonial years, they targeted these ancient peoples and native peoples to destroy their use of that knowledge so that they could hijack it for themselves. They're using the same knowledge but negatively. It's like power without wisdom is the most destructive force on earth, and it's all around us.
Absolutely. Fortunately, we were far away of the Europeans until they arrive, until the church arrived. But anyway, this city was in such a way protected that the Christians or the modern world never arrived until the early of the last century, so far we know. This is why the city is still like that, and there are many secrets in the city, and every year in our studies, Amaru and some others, the new generation, they've been connecting, and we have an incredible vision of all that. There are certain aspects. Some people, they were asking about the location, the ley lines, connectivity, and all this. Let me give you some approach of that, okay? If we will go observing as a bird the city, we will realize that there exist certain points in the city which are connected and spreading to the horizon and to heaven. First of all, the mountain over there is Huayna Picchu, where you see this the most agglomeration of people over there. This is the Intihuatana, which is a kind of pyramid. And this pyramid connects a ley line from the Huayna Picchu mountain to the pyramid and toward the south to the Salcantay Apu. The Salcantay mountain is the second most important mountain in Cusco. Snow mountain, over 19,000 feet. It's the Puma energy. It's the Puma energy. So there is a ley line connecting Huayna Picchu, Machu Picchu City, and the Apu Salcantay. In the other hand, Vizcachani Apu, you see this ending as a pyramid. Here in the city, the pyramid of Intihuatana area, and then we will have the other mountains toward what is named the Huacayhuilca groups of mountains toward the east. All that will make another ley line. So far that Machu Picchu will be a kind of navel, and then spreading, connecting. So this is just in a extension toward the geography, but as we arrive to the city, in the city we will find important rocks, like measuring rocks that we call huancas, are referential rocks to connect. We have in one section one group of 3, in the other section another group of 3, and we have one in the middle, making 7. So if we will look into the cosmology, it will be a connection with Pleiades, and of course we could create other connections with Orion as well, with the Southern Cross constellation, with the Coachinchay constellation and others. For sure that our ancestors, when they jumped to connect to heaven and develop astronomy, they were aware that in their essence there exists a connectivity with heaven. Even if that was long time ago, the early connections. But many of the masters, they keep it and they were transmitting. So they create a kind of way to expand and to maintain the secrets. This is why the city was secret and sacred in the same time, just for the specialist. So a specialist could hold this wisdom from earth connecting to heaven.
Well, that was Malcu, the guide who's been taking us around Peru, showing us the sights and giving his insights into what they mean and what the background is. Because if you go around these places with the classic tourist guide, they just give you the off-the-peg song sheet version of everything, and it's usually bloody rubbish. But Malcu has studied it at a deep level, comes from a spiritual kind of direction, and understands the nature of energy, the nature of ley lines, and the nature of how it all works. And he's written some absolutely excellent books on these subjects. And one of the fascinating things that he points out is that if you look at Machu Picchu, the city there, and then you look at the mountain, that's Hawaii Picchu, that means young peak. Machu Picchu apparently means old peak. Do you know something? See that? People climb that bloody thing, right? And they say, how long does it take? They say, oh, it's only an hour and a half. In your dreams, mate. Hour and a half up there and back. Crikey. Need a bloody, what do you call it, air ambulance, I would, halfway up. Anyway, when you look at that, it looks like a mountain and a few things going off it. But when you turn the camera, we'll show you this, on the other side, you'll see that it's actually a face. That mountain in the middle there is the nose, and then it goes to the top of the head, and there's the chin and everything. There's some absolutely amazing information in Malcu's books, and I do recommend them. They are in English. But you know, Peru for me has been life-changing because of what I'll talk about next week at the place where it basically happened. And I've had some strange experiences since I've been here. What are we? Thursday? 2 days ago, we had to get up early at the hotel, 4 o'clock in the morning, to get the early train to get here. And I got up and I was fine, and I was in the bathroom, And then I walk out the bathroom, the room's over there, so I'm turning left, and I'm walking towards into the room. And I couldn't walk straight, and I couldn't walk to the right. The only thing I could do was walk to the left. It was like I was drunk, but only half of my brain was sober. You know what I mean? And it was like if I was walking towards you now, the camera, I was doing that. I couldn't stop myself. And then I started to feel really ill, as if I was about to faint. And in my mind, I said, "Oh, I've got to lie down on the bed." And as I walked towards the bed, because I've tried for 3 or 4 minutes, keep continually trying to walk straight, thinking, "What the heck's happening here?" I didn't use the word heck, but it was something close. And as I walked towards the bed to lie on it, suddenly, boom! As quick as it came, it went. And I'm standing there bewildered. What just happened? And this voice in my head, very, very clear, said, "Not to worry, we've just flipped your brain. Your brain just flipped." I think that was the term. And that from now on, I would start decoding reality differently. So I get dressed, kind of in a bewildered state. I go down and meet other people at breakfast before we get in the bus to the station to come here. And Sean was sitting next to me. I went into, I was feeling really strange, and I went into this, shall we say, state of awareness that wasn't in this world. I was looking at Sean, sitting right next to me, Sean at Webmaster, and he was in a different dimension, a different reality to me. And I looked around the room and people were chatting, and they were not in the same reality that I was in. And this lasted for about an hour and a half as we got on the bus and on the train. About halfway through the train journey, I just started to, be me again, or be where I normally am in this reality. So what that was all about, I don't know. And what else is to come, I don't know, because, my experience of Peru is that I never leave it the same as I arrive. And we've got a few days yet, and I'll talk to you more next week from the Stone Circle, where basically, well, my life changed, yes, but it was the biggest individual experience, shall we say, in 1991, February 1991, that put me on the path to me standing here now and doing what I do.